Hello, everyone. Andrew here, and I'm going to talk to you today about some of the life lessons from Warren Buffett. As you know, I'm an avid reader and I love to read books about successful people. And who's more successful than Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett is currently in 2022, he is the sixth wealthiest person in the world. He's worth an estimated $98 billion. And what's amazing, now remember, I want to just say before I start this video, before I get too deep into it, this is not financial advice. This is um, just entertainment purposes, things that I've read, quotes that I've gotten. So I'm going to do some Warren Buffett quotes. I'm going to tell you some thoughts on those quotes and how they've affected me as well. But again, like I was saying, Warren Buffett is the sixth wealthiest person in the world. And of most of the billionaires in the world, he's one of the few, and maybe the only one, who has made his fortune through investing. Most of your billionaires have done theirs, whether it's through real estate, through business, whatever it might be. Warren Buffett's one of the few that made it through investing, strictly through investing. And originally, it was all about investing, mostly in the stock market, and then also then in buying businesses. So now he has a philosophy of buying the entire business versus investing in stocks of a business. He'll buy an entire business. So it's quite interesting. When I first started doing this, I had already read several books again about Warren Buffett and his investment ideas and his rules to follow on them. But then what I started watching some interviews with him, and I got really interested because I realized that it wasn't just investing advice that he was giving. This was actually life advice that he was giving. Like you could use most of this advice that he was giving and use it for any aspect of your life. So I thought that to be quite interesting. So when I first set out to make this video, I strictly was going to give some of his quotes that were about financial investments. And then I started, let's say, started watching his videos, and I was like, I really see more life advice here. So it's a little bit of both here. Again, now don't take this as financial advice because this is for entertainment purposes. I'm a real estate agent. That's what I do. So I'm not a financial advisor. So don't take this as financial advice. But one of his first rules, and this was like a lot of people say that this is his number one rule, and it just makes sense. And this is an investing rule, which number one is never lose money. And number two is never forget rule number one. And I just did that. Never forget rule number one. So number one is never lose money. Number two is never forget rule number one. And very important, you always want to make sound advice where you're not going to lose money. But having said that, you may find a time when you do lose money, where you do make an investment that's not making money for you. And what he said, and this is another quote of his, if you do lose money, he says, should you find yourself in a chronically leaking boat, energy devoted to changing vessels is more likely to be productive than energy devoted to patching leaks. And what he's saying is, if you're have invested in something and it's just continually losing money, it doesn't look like it's going to turn around, you're better off to get out of that investment, get into a different investment than to just keep trying to see if that investment is going to make money for you. So that's going to happen. You're going to be having investments, and sometimes those investments are going to lose money. I'm not going to get into my own personal investments right now, but I will tell you that I've made some mistakes that I really wish I would have listened to that advice and got out of them much quicker than I did. And eventually I did lose money on them. And I don't want to tell you the names of those particular stocks, but I did do that. I did not follow that advice. So one of the things that he said too, in other words, the most important thing to do if you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging. And that makes sense. If you're already in a hole, and again, this can go into your personal life, into your investment life, but if you're in a hole, stop digging. Start getting yourself out of that hole, but don't make that hole deeper, unfortunately. And that's one of his lessons that he says is, again, stop digging if you're in a hole. Okay. Another thing that he says is, and he's really, really big on this, research before you invest. He says risk comes not from not knowing what you're doing. So research anything before you do that. And that just means find out as much as you can about a company, the environment of the company, what that company does. And it goes into the next part of it, which is never invest in a business that you don't understand. And so if you can't quickly explain what a business does. You don't want to invest in that business. Again, never invest in a business you don't understand. For me personally, this is why I haven't gotten into cryptocurrency. I'm learning about cryptocurrency, but I still don't really understand it. I don't understand where the value of it comes from. And so I haven't invested in it yet because I follow his advice and I don't invest in a business that I don't understand. I do my research on everything that I might possibly invest in, but I'm also going to not invest in something that I don't understand because it's very important that you understand what you're investing in. Because if you don't understand it, way too easy to make a mistake. That's very, research before you invest. Also, he says, focus on quality. Buy quality companies. He says it's far better to buy a wonderful company for a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. Meaning, again, buy a quality company. If you buy a quality company at a fair price, it should hold that value. But if you're just buying a fair company because it's at a great price right now, that's where trouble is going to come in. So always remember that. Far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price and a fair company at a wonderful price. Again, doing your research on a company to find that out. He also says, don't invest in a company that you wouldn't do business with because that's almost a moral indicator of that company. You want to make sure the companies you're invested in are companies that you would also want to do business in with yourself. Very important. He also says, get around the right people. And I've heard this said quite a few different ways. I've heard it said that you'll become the average of the 5 people that you hang around with, the people that are in your circle. But he says, get around the right people. You will end up becoming a reflection of the company that you keep. And that is so true. So look at your closest circle and realize that you're going to become the average of your closest circle. So you want to make sure that you keep yourself around the right company. I really like this quote. I read this as I was finding out as I was getting into some deeper things. But he said, of all the billionaires I have known, money just brings out the best traits in them. If they were jerks before they had money, they're simply jerks with $1 billion. And that's quite interesting. I thought that I got a kick out of that one because it's like, money doesn't change really who a person is. Money will bring out the traits in people, but it doesn't change who they are. So you want to get, to know someone's character. Character and integrity are two of the most important things. In several of his interviews, I heard him talk about like the reputation of a company. If a company loses money, you can remake that money. But if a company loses their reputation, it is almost impossible to get that reputation back. So you want to do everything you can for your company to maintain its reputation. Very, very important. He's very high on that. And that was one of the things that I really admire about Warren Buffett when he made that statement about, hey, you lose money, that's okay, but you lose your reputation, that's not something that you can handle. So you really want to protect your reputation. And it spoke to me the integrity of the type of person that he was. And again, I learned a lot about this in books, but I learned more about actually watching him speak. I think he was giving the commencement speech at the University of Nebraska as one of the big ones that I saw that I really liked. But also I watched some of his shareholders meetings for Berkshire Hathaway. And he talks about that over and over. He has said, you can't get your reputation back. Do everything to protect your reputation. And that really makes you a man of integrity. And I think that's very, very important. So that's one of those things that is very important for business, but also very important for life in general. I always got to have my coffee. So these next couple of ones here were more on, in my opinion, more of like life than investments, but they go back to why he does what he does, which is very interesting to me. So one of the things he talked about was how it's okay to dream big, and dreaming expands our belief in what is possible. So you've heard the phrase, hey, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I think that's very true. I think it's true for everybody. But he had always said, um, I always knew I was going to be rich. I don't think I ever doubted that for a moment. He talked about ever since he was a young kid, he always knew he was going to be rich and said never doubted that for a moment. So he always dreamed big. He always had confidence in himself and he dreamed big. But he also said, too, always make sure you're doing your research. And then he says, the other thing, this is quite interesting. You only have to do a very few things right in your life, so long as you don't do too many things wrong. So interesting in that, you don't have to get that much right. You only have to get a couple things right. As long as you don't do the wrong things. It's the wrong things that set you back. When you talk about investing, one of the wrong things is, investing in the wrong company because you didn't do your research on that company. So you don't want to do the wrong things. You only have to do a couple of things right. Just get a couple of things right, as long as you don't do too many things that are wrong. And I think every one of us can look back and see decisions we made. I know that I can. I can pinpoint a lot of things that I've done in the past that were at the time maybe the wrong decision. And my life probably could be different if I had made some different decisions. But I own that. I accept that. I'm okay with that. But just keep that in mind. You only have to do a few, very few things right in your life, so long as you don't do too many things wrong. So, the fewer mistakes you make, the less you have to get things right. Just do a couple things right and keep going on that track. So, the other part that I thought was very interesting is he said, not doing what we love in the name of greed is a very poor management of our lives. And kind of going back to make sure you're doing what you love and you love your job, what you're doing. He always says he loves what he's doing. He says, do what you love. In the world of business, the people who are the most successful are those who are doing what they love. And he reckons it to, he says, well, why do I still at my age? And this is a couple of years ago. I think this interview was when he was like 82. I think he's like 92 now. But at this time, he said, why do I keep doing what I'm doing? And I'm sure it's still true today. But he says, I get to paint my own painting. I get to decide what I'm going to do with my life. And that's kind of what keeps him going. He's doing what he loves. And it's so important for everyone, whether it be if you're investing, investing really should be, in my opinion, a secondary source of income. Your first source of income should be doing something that you love. And if you're doing what you love, you're going to be successful at it. You can't be successful at doing something you hate. You just can't do it. You won't be motivated to do it. But I just thought it was interesting how he said, do what you love. In the world of business, the people who are the most successful are those who are doing what they love. And if you talk to any successful person, I always wonder, like, sometimes why do people, like, if you have $98 billion, why are you still going to work? He loves what he's doing. And that just speaks volume. And the way he put it, I get to paint my own painting. I get to do what I want to do. Very, very, really hit home with me. It's like, what? If you're being able to do what you love to do, you're going to be a success in life. Now, you don't have to make $98 billion to be a success in life, but that sure doesn't hurt. But the money is almost now a what do you call it? Like a byproduct of doing what you love. And that's very important. Investing is very important. And like I said, don't take all this as financial advice. Just take it as, what you get from it. But I really would encourage people to, go on YouTube, look up some of his videos and listen to his speeches, because for one thing, he's fun to listen to. He's always kind of cracking jokes. He's very easy to, he kind of, you can tell he can laugh at himself, which is fine. He talks about some mistakes that he's made in the past and things like that. And he even talks about, like, hey, people don't want to hear me talk all the time, but it is very interesting because I could listen to him talk for a long, long time. So I hope that these things help you out. I'm going to do some more about Warren Buffett because I really, as the more I started getting into this, there was just so much more. I mean, I just scratched the surface on this. I didn't even get anywhere near what I could, talking about some of the different things that he has said about investing. But I encourage people to do some of your own research and really find out what speaks to you. I always say there's going to be certain things that really stand out to you that you get from any video, hopefully maybe from this video. And also as you watch other videos, like I said, look at some of them that he has done in the past, because he's very motivating and very humble and down to earth. I think he's one of the most, by far, the most humble billionaire I've ever watched. Quite interesting to see and to hear his philosophies on life and how you can use those to improve your own life as well. So, hey, I hope this information gives you some you got some good information here. If it did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me, your thoughts on it. If you've watched any of the videos I'm talking about, please comment that down below, or tell me what else you would like to hear about. And if you liked it, give me a like. And if you like what I'm talking about, subscribe to the channel because we're a real estate channel. I talk a lot about real estate, but I also talk about investments and real estate investments. So if you have any questions on real estate investing, you can follow the channel and comment down below what you'd like to see me talk about next. Thank you for watching.